All right, so before I share my screen, I'm just gonna kind of give a brief high level about what indexing is. So uh, basically with family history, there are thousands and thousands of documents out in the world that are starting to be scanned. But a scanned image cannot be searched by a computer very well. And so you may have 20 different names on a scanned image, but that computer can't read what those names are because it's scanned as an image. And so what indexing does is you go through and you enter in different names in different names and dates, different categories in a list, in a field. And what that allows is then you're typing in the information that is scanned in an image so that different computers and search engines can then search for that particular name. So it allows for all of these documents out there in the world to now be searched via computer and online. And so this is really helpful. It's opening up family history to a lot more information. There's a lot more information available for people to search and to find documents and to find information. But the only way that this can be done is for volunteers to go in there and look at these documents and look at these images and basically transcribe all of them. Write in, type in all of that information. And so that's why they're asking for our help. And that's exactly what indexing is. And I think Jared has mentioned before to a lot of you, we really got a testimony of indexing when we lived in Pennsylvania. And the Philadelphia Temple was newly constructed, and our stake president felt inspired to ask our entire stake to index 1 million names as a show of gratitude to our Heavenly Father for building that temple. And what was really neat is some of the names that I indexed and that I helped enter in, I guess, when that information is used, a person, and it doesn't happen a lot, but a person has the ability to send a thank you note to the person that indexed that information. And I have actually received a couple thank you notes saying I have been able to find my ancestors because of some of the documents you indexed. So thank you for your service, essentially. So that was really, really neat, because a lot of times the service that we do, we don't see the end result. So sometimes it's really fun to get those thank you notes where the information you indexed helped somebody do their family history work. So it's just a really great way to open up all of this information to people who may be looking for it. So with that said, I do have a huge love and testimony of family history work. And I think indexing, you're just typing names and it's no one you even know. They're not family that's related to you. And so sometimes I think it can become mundane, and it can become, maybe it may seem like it's not important. But I really just try to remember how important it is, and try to remember that every name that I enter is possibly someone's relative, and I'm allowing them access to do their temple work for them one day. So I do try to remember that, and how important all work is, regardless of whether or not it's for your own particular family, because in the end, we're all part of a great big family. So with that being said, I will kind of dive into the beginnings of indexing. So what you'll need is you will need your own account through the church's family search website. Even kids can have their own account. So if you're, let's say you're a young woman or you're a young man, wants to do indexing, maybe even as like one of their goal projects or what have you, they can have their own account and they can do their own indexing. And it's a really great way for them to receive the benefits of family history work as well. And so I'm going to share my screen now, and I am going to show you my family search page. And let me know, maybe I can see you, Paula and Brother Randall. Can you give me like a head nod? Awesome, a thumbs up, perfect. Okay, thank you so much. So this is my family search, basically my home screen. So once you've created your own account, and this is where you'd have like your family tree, where you could search for people and list your memories. This tab right here, indexing. So this is really great because a long time ago, indexing used to be its own website and you had to go into a different website. But now it's all just right here in this one website, this one family search website. So you just click on the indexing tab, and you can do a bunch of things. You can click on this first tab here and it will give you an overview. And it will tell you, you could take a guided tour with indexing if you feel like you need more information after we're done tonight. You can click on this Get Help. So if you have any other questions, and you can click on the Find a Project here, even getting started. So when you click on the, if we go back where I'm highlighting right here with my mouse, this indexing tab, if you click Overview, that's just a really good way to get some information. There's also the Help Center right down here, the last one. I typically, when I start, I will click in one of these two, web indexing or find a project. Basically, they do very similar things. So I'll show you that at first. So if you click on web indexing, this is going to be more of a personal to me page. So it will show you my batches, things that I am currently working on. It will show me how many I have indexed in my lifetime. There are people who have indexed thousands, so you can see my personal isn't very high, but I'm working on it. And then you can see that I did about 20 the other day. So I think I had done about 500 when we lived in Pennsylvania myself. And then since we've been here in Nebraska, I haven't done too many, but I did 20 the other day. So you can kind of see that. And then you can see like a graph of how many you've done. So maybe in the last month, or excuse me, the last quarter, you can see that I hadn't done any in October, and then the other day I did 20, and it moved my graph up. I can look at the year, and I can see kind of the projects that I have done and what I've worked on. What is neat about this, let's see here, is I'm trying to look, hold on. Give me just one moment. Well, I can't find where that was. I'll have to keep looking, but there is a place where I can enter a personal goal, and I had entered, I think, like a goal of 12, and it can tell me if I've reached my goal. So set a target to keep yourself on track. I'll have to find out where you do that. But anyway, you can set a goal for yourself. This is something that I thought was kind of fun for young men or young women. maybe it's right here. Target goal, let's put in 20. Okay, that's where I think it is. Target, okay, there we go. So I guess you just do it on the side right here. So then you can, like if you're a young man or a young woman and you say, I want to do 100, then this chart will give you a fun way to see if you're on track. And then you can also see the stats for the Pioneer Award and then also our stake as a whole. So I was looking at this in preparation for our call today, and we made our goal for our award based on previous statistics. And then I don't know who it was, but somebody came in here and did more indexing records than we have done in like the past several years. So I don't know, like all time.
I know the Prestwich family did.
So somebody came in and just went bonkers. So that was awesome. And somebody came in and indexed 838 records this week. So that's really cool. I think that that's awesome. So this is one way that we can keep track of our ward and kind of the goal that we have as a ward to index 1,000 names in the month of October. I think we're definitely going to reach that goal since somebody came in and indexed a whole bunch. We may even...
You're going to have to reset that goal because my son did 1,000 in just 1 month himself.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, we'll definitely maybe have to increase that goal. When I was talking to my husband, he had initially thought, oh, we should do 5,000. But what I came in here is I looked at our all-time stats for our ward as a whole. And I thought, oh, that might be a little bit much because at that time we were only doing about 300 at most. So this is really exciting, and definitely goals are there to help stretch us, but also we don't want anybody to feel overwhelmed. So I just think it's awesome to see where we are and to use this as a motivator. And so definitely if somebody can get 1,000 names on their own, by all means, let's do that. That would be so awesome. So this is just a fun little, I'm a nerd. I'm an accountant and I love graphs. I love graphs. So I love coming in here and seeing all of these different, metrics of what people are doing. So the yellow is indexing and then the red is reviewed. So just to explain, and something that will kind of help you feel better, this helped me feel better when I first started indexing, is I was really concerned, what if I make a mistake? Well, every document is first indexed by one person, and then it's reviewed by another person. And so before a batch is ever even completed, you have the person that first reviewed it, and then you have another set of eyes as a person that reviewed it, every single one. So another way that you can serve rather than indexing is you can also go on and review documents as well. And that's what this red graph would be. So for example, here in this month, in July 2020 at some point, it looks like 443 records were indexed and 77 records were reviewed. So there's a couple of different ways you can serve. You can index and you can review. All right, so with that being said, when you go to that indexing and you go to that web indexing page, that's where you see your tools, your progress, your graphs, and you can also see the ward that you're assigned to and the stake that you're assigned to. And if you want, you can find batches through this avenue. You would click on this blue button to find a batch. I often like finding my batches this way because it allows me to sort by difficulty level, and I can put in that I'm looking for a beginner level. If I click that I want an intermediate level, you can see that the amount of documents increase. You can also change to different languages. Maybe if you served a mission and you know a different language, you could search for that language. So that's why I like using this Find a Batch button right here to start indexing. One of the other ways that you could do it is if you go up here to the indexing tab again, instead of clicking web indexing, you would click the Find a Project tab. And this will pull it up to a map. And from this map, you can click which continent you want to search in. You know, let's say you served your mission somewhere in Europe, you could click here if you feel like you might want to look for documents to index from Europe. I usually would just click here on United States. And then again, it would show me the different documents that are ready to be indexed from the United States. So basically, these two tabs are fairly similar in how you find the documents that you want to start indexing. So let's say I want to start indexing the United States enlisted and officer muster roles. So I would just click on this blue button over here and I would say start indexing. And what it's going to bring up then is first any critical information that you need to know. And what this says that is kind of critical to this project is that often the event date is not found on the image. Please use the adjacent images to index the event date. And then usually, so that's specific to this project, but usually this message will only say, before indexing these images, please read through all of the project instructions. So basically with indexing, what I have to say is you can't just say it's going to be the same every single time. It's not. It's probably going to be different every single time with every single batch. And so you have to go on and assume that when you get a new batch that you are probably going to have to spend at least the first 10 minutes just reading the project instructions so that you know what that document is looking for you to index. So it would be easy if it was just the same project every time you came on to index and you never had to read the instructions, but unfortunately that's not the case. So you would open it, usually the instructions would pop up, or you can find them right here, this tab that has the little I, and it would tell you then all of the project instructions. And so you would read through all of these, and then it would also give you documents that you might see in your project, and it would give you an example of what to look for. So if you were to click here, how to index a military roster, and it's going to tell you, okay, you're looking for surname, a given name, their military month, their military date, and their military year. And then it always will tell you if there isn't information for a specific film, or sorry, I read that over there, for a specific field, press Control B to mark the field as blank. And then this gives you a specific instruction to index the first 2 digits as 19. So if you notice over here, when it's telling you the year and it says 18, it doesn't just want you to put in 18, it wants you to put in 1918. So it's giving you specific instructions for this particular indexing file. So you can kind of begin to see how whenever you're indexing, you really need to make sure that you pay specific attention to the instructions for each individual file. So after you've looked at those instructions and you kind of feel like, okay, I have a good idea of what I want to do, you look at this document and you say, okay, so should this document be indexed? And I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know. I can't read this particular document very well. So I might come over here, and I don't want to say no extractable data, but I might come over here and say, I want to mark this field as unreadable. So you could say yes, but then mark a lot of the fields as unreadable. This one would kind of be tricky, I think, for me. And so you may decide to just go back and try a different batch instead. So I'm going to open up the batch that I did earlier this morning. Let me see which one. Was it this one or, hold on. Yeah. So it was this one. So I looked at this earlier this morning in preparation for this call today. And this is one of those ones where it goes along, it lists these names, and I would say, yes, I can read these names. So should this image be indexed? And I would say yes, and I'll click next. And then it says the surname. So the surname I'm going to write in as Watson, and the given name I'm going to write in as James. But then it asks me for that military month and military day and military year. And if you remember, the instructions when we first came on said if that's not on the image that you are indexing, please look at the adjacent pages. So I wanted to point out how you do that because that becomes important. If you click right here, there's this black box next to your image that allows you to zoom in, zoom out. There's other tools as well. You can brighten it up so that maybe you can read it a little bit better. Let's see. You can change it. Anyway, these tools help you read it a little bit better. But the one that I wanted to show you is this one down here at the bottom. And it says reference images. Okay, so I'm going to click on this bottom box that says reference images. When I do that, it brings up the
You went mute.
Thank you. I don't know how that happened. Thank you so much. Okay. I don't know how that happened, but we'll keep going. Hopefully you didn't miss too much. So basically, when you click on that box, it will bring up the other documents that are scanned before and after the one that you are currently indexing. And it will come up over here on the right side and it will say reference images. And that will allow you to click backwards within your document until you get to the page that says the date that you're looking for. So now I find the page and I can see that the date that I want to index is April 28th, and I'm going to say 1919. I'm hoping that that's what it is because the instruction said to put 19 in front of the ending. So then what I would do is I would come over here to military month and I would list April. Then I would list 28, 1919. And then since I don't know a birthplace or an age, I'm going to press Control B and I'm going to mark those two fields as blank. Then once I've done that, I can know that I'm basically going to put this April 28th, 1919 date as all of the dates for my guys on my indexing page right here. So then I'm going to just go to the next image and I'm going to put in the next name, Watson Richard April 28, 1919, blank and blank. And then it's going to pull up the next one, and I'm going to put the next one down. And I'm going to list all of these individuals. When I get to the end, you can see that it says like entry number 9 of 50, entry number 10 of 50. I'm not going to actually have 50 names. And so what I'd then do is I'd come up here where it says mark the, or hold on. I think it's this one. Nope, that's not what I want. All of the sudden, there we go. That's the adding one. Okay, I was doing this just the other day and all of a sudden I can't find it. You want to delete your entries. Let me reset that. Hold on, I'm so sorry. Give me just a moment. Copy. There. I am very smart. Hello. You probably are all screaming at me. The trash can is right there. Sorry, guys. Okay, there's my trash can. So you're going to delete, and you can either say the current entry or all blank entries. So I would say on this one, I'll just put all blank entries. And that's going to delete everybody every entry that I haven't entered something. So right now I only am showing 2 because I only entered 2 people. Now let's say I did that and I'm like, oh, whoops, I still have somebody that I need to enter. You can just come down here and do another one, create another entry, and it will give you another form to enter, and then I could go through and enter Weiser, Raymond, and do the same thing all the way down. So you probably kind of get the idea after this. And after you're done, and I won't do it yet because I want to make sure that I get all of these people, but after you're done, you'll just say submit batch. And it will go through and it will check everything you've done. It will do like a computer check if there's any things that a computer might find. Like probably if I had put in 2019, it may say, oops, are you sure? Do you want to go back and look at this date again? Or is this right? So the computer will kind of look at things that it's looking for. And if it doesn't have any mistakes, it will say no mistakes noticed. And then you just press yes, submit again, and then it will go through. But also, like I mentioned earlier, don't be nervous. This is going to be reviewed not only by a computer then, but by another individual person with their own set of eyes to make sure that there were no mistakes that they see either. So once you would have that done, then you could go back to your family search page or your web indexing page. And then at that point, it would show you that you had indexed even more individuals at that point. But until I'm done with that specific batch, let's say I ran out of time and I only got those 2 names and now I want to go back and finish, I just go to my screen, I open that batch that I was working on, and here it is. It shows, so it has the people I've already done, and now it's ready for me to finish up. So don't get worried if you don't have a chance to finish what you were working on and you're in the middle of it and you're like, oh shoot, I lost all of that work because I can't finish right now. No, it will actually save for you automatically so that then when you're ready to go and index again, then as soon as you're done, then you can just go to your last entry and submit that batch when you're completely done. So I hope that helps. I will open it now. If there are any questions or something as I was going along that maybe you were unsure about, is there anything that you might want to ask about? I can take it off of,
So I was wondering, I've heard people talk about being able to repeat entries from one page to the next that have lots of duplicates, like the dates and those things. What tool is it that allows you to repeat entries from previous entries?
okay, so if we go back,
Like you have a ton of Williamses right in a row.
okay. Ah, yes, I do see that. So there's this button right here that is, so it says, let's see if I can scroll over it and it will tell you what it says. So this one right here, can you see where my index finger is pointing to?
Yeah.
So that one says, let's see if I can get it to come up again. Copy text from selected field into all following matching fields. So there's that one that you can use, or there's this one, which I just put in here, which would copy the text from that specific entry from the previous one. So if you, let me see if it will come up with copy text from the same field on the previous entry. So if you go back to what my entry was from entry 3, it was this we Sir Raymond, and so it put those same things in here. Let's say since everybody has that April date, then I can use that very easily right here on those, because I know everybody is going to have that one.
Yeah.
And then this one, let's see. Hold on.
So even though these are graphical icons, it looks like they have shortcut keys. So, you know, if you're good with your keyboard, you can navigate through the fields and.
Yeah. So at the very end, it says Control D.
Yeah.
So if you come in here, you could do the same thing, Control D, Control D, Control D. Let's see. What would this one be? Oh, what did it say? Alt Shift?
Okay. Oh, yeah.
I've never done the shortcut keys myself personally. So that's, I don't know what it is, but that would be a very helpful. I'd usually just would press these little links here. What is this? I can't get this one. Alt Shift D. Okay, so Alt Shift D. I don't know. That one doesn't seem to. Or maybe that's not a field that it would go in. But
I got the idea.
yeah. So if you click on this one, I think it enters the previous entry, everything automatically. And since I only had April 28, 19, so with this particular document, Brother Randall, I think this would be really fast to just go through. You could just put in that date and go, you know, kind of count maybe how many you have, and then just go through and do the dates really fast. And then
Yeah, the birthplace and the age are blank too, so you can.
Oh, right. So you could just put that blank in, and then.
And then it's just typing the names through the 25 records or whatever.
Right.
Oh, you could do.
So that would be really fast. So this would, you know, you could get whatever, let's say there's 15 names here, you could get 15 entries in, you know, 5 minutes, maybe tops.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's, that would be a really quick way to get a lot done. I would say that this isn't the case for maybe a lot of documents, but for like a muster or, you know, a roll or a roster where you're just listing a person and the date is the same, you know, and there's lots of similar names like you noticed with the Williams, that's a great thing to point out. Definitely utilize those copy tools and become more familiar. I need to become more familiar with the shortcut keys, because that would be easier than just going up there and pressing the icon too. So you taught me something. Thank you.
Well, how about that?
Anything else? What else do you know from using it? Any other ideas you want to give us suggestions on, Brother Randall?
I've only indexed one batch, so I can't teach you anything.
Oh, wow. Well, there you just did. So that's why it's good to have stuff like this.
Does Sister Nichols have any questions?
Yeah, Sister Nichols, and your son, if he did 1,000 in a month, he must be pretty proficient at shortcut keys too, I bet.
If they're there.
If they're there yet, or they may be trying to get their computer off of video. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen at the moment. Let's see. Stop share. There we go. Thank you. Okay. But yeah, I think we'll wrap it up for now. So
Yeah, do you have any other final questions before we end this?
I think that was my biggest thing is, unfortunately, with indexing, it's not this way every single time. Every single time you're gonna have new instructions and new information, and it's gonna be different every time. And that's one thing that kind of is hard for me, because I like to just get into a routine and a rhythm and just do everything the same every single time and just go, go, go. But it is really important to stop and read the instructions, because the other thing too is, let's just say you had that muster roll and you didn't look at the adjacent documents to get the date. You would just be putting in a name and everything else would be blank, and you'd be missing some information. So that's a small example, but you can apply it to the fact that those instructions are really there and really there for a reason. And yeah, so.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks, the Randall family and the Nichols family.
Thank you.
Hopefully Ashley taught you a few things that you guys can use. But even after this call and tutorial, if you guys have additional questions, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, it'd be great if you can send that recording out to the email list so everybody has a chance to watch it at their own time.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
All right.
That was good. Thank you. Because
All
yeah,
right.
it was always something scary. So for me.
Yeah, I think a lot of times people find things unknown to be scary, but once you get in and start doing it, you find it's really not too bad at all.
Yeah. So I can't break the system, so that's good.
Yeah, and like I said, I was really comforted when I first started doing this, knowing that everything was reviewed by another set of eyes too.
Yep.
Because that way, you know, even if you do make a mistake, it's not like you've ruined it for the rest of history, you know, like somebody else might see it, and even then they still have ways of, you know, correcting it. It's just better that it's able to get out there so people can start looking at it and searching for it.
Nice job. I appreciate your
Yeah.
time.
Thank
Thank
Yeah.
you guys.
All right. You guys have a good one.
Have a good
You too.
night.
Okay, we'll see ya.
you. Bye.